our Across the Aisle segment tonight. The mainstream media is having a rough week. First, a CNN producer was caught admitting their Russia stories are BS. And now their on-air talent is saying the same thing. Former Obama green job czar Van Jones was caught on camera saying the network's coverage of collusion between Trump officials and Russia is just a big nothing burger. Watch.
Why is CNN constantly like Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now.
But honestly, you think the whole Russia shit is just like bullshit.
Could be bullshit. I mean, it's mostly bullshit right now. Like, we don't have any big giant proof. I just feel like they don't really have it, but they want to keep digging.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the president is probably right to say, like, look, you are witch hunting me. Like, you have no smoking gun. You have no real proof.
And the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Other presidents tried to say nice things about the Russians and other, warm things in their heart and they love, not in the face of an active attack on the country.
Hey, man.
The Russian thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Joining me now, Democratic media strategist Franco Ripple. Franco, good to see you.
Good to see you. Man, I love the dramatic editing and the heavy music of those videos.
I love the phraseology. I love the words that Van Jones chose to use. A nothing burger. That makes such an excellent soundbite. I appreciate that from him. Franco, let me ask you, is it getting to the point that you agree? I mean, even liberals now are admitting that it's either BS, the stories are BS, there's nothing to them, they're forced to retract fake news stories, and now Van Jones says it's a nothing burger. Are you there yet?
Okay, Liz, so I'm going to disagree with Van Jones, and I'm going to agree with Van Jones. And here's how I'm going to do that. First, I always feel important to remind folks, even in the case of Van Jones, in the case of the CNN producer, in your opinion, my opinion, our viewers, it's one person's opinion. So the opinion of someone at CNN that it's a whole lot of fake news just for ratings, or Van Jones that it's a nothing burger, is one person's opinion.
Sure.
I disagree with Van Jones because I don't believe you would have this many leading Republicans concerned if there was truly nothing. I think we're just at the beginning of this. And again, Watergate, as I've said on your show before, Watergate took 2 years to resolve. We are just at the beginning of this. Now,
Listen.
I'm going to agree with Van Jones by saying that this Russia may be a nothing burger electorally for Democrats. Democrats cannot run on this in 2018 alone. They've got to hold the president accountable for Trump care that's going to kick millions off health care. They've got to rein him in on climate change.
Franco, we're not changing topics. We're staying on these videos. We're not changing topics. Listen, my problem is not that Van Jones or the CNN producer has these opinions. You're absolutely correct. People have individual opinions. I don't even disagree with CNN's crisis PR team when they said we support a diversity of opinions. My problem is that Van Jones, for example, goes on television on his own show and commentary on other shows and criticizes the president for his associations with Russia, or talks about this investigation as if Trump is under investigation. He says that publicly, and then he says that he doesn't even think there's anything to it. He thinks it's a nothing burger privately, and that makes him a liar.
I don't think it does. I believe when he says on television that this is a serious issue, that it's about the integrity of our American democracy. What he said in private is that we don't know anything yet. It's a nothing burger thus far. And frankly, that's what the CNN producer said as well.
No, he did not say. Van Jones said nothing about what we know so far. He just said the Russia thing is a big nothing burger. There's not a lot of footage there. There's no way we can add things to it. But let's talk about the tape from yesterday, the one with the producer. CNN has responded and said he has nothing to do with Russia stories. He's a medical producer. He talks about healthcare, and he's entitled to his opinion. But he was in a meeting. He was privy to a meeting with the CEO of CNN, Jeff Zucker, in which Jeff Zucker said, "Great job, guys, covering the Paris Climate Accords for a day and a half. Now let's get back to Russia." That's not an individual opinion. That's directives coming from the top.
He was privy to those remarks because it related to his coverage. But as someone who's worked in and around the news for a decade, producers, if he's a medical producer, he's not a Russia producer. He's not a breaking news producer. He's not an investigative journalism producer. Producers know what they know, and so he's not privy to all the information, the leaks, the news, the sources.
Right, what he said he knows. Let me interject. What he says he knows is that the CEO of the company told them to continue covering Russia, and he said it was all about ratings. I mean, I actually agree with the producer when he said if there was anything to these investigations, we certainly would have heard it from leaks, because what has not been leaked in the past year? Franco, you and I have talked about that before, the danger or not danger, the controversy and argument between leaks being dangerous or being whistleblowers. But he's absolutely correct. If there was anything to these investigations, we would have heard it through leaks, and we don't have anybody that's testified in front of the Senate or in front of the House Intel Committee that's had any meat to any of their testimony.
Liz, I don't agree with that, but what I do agree with is the fact that the media is about ratings, and he also said the media is about the business, and that goes for both mainstream or liberal media or right-wing media. I think if you really want to point the finger here for any kind of media bias, it should be to the FCC and media conglomeration. 30 years ago, 50 media companies owned 90% of American media. Today, it's just 6 companies, including my former employer, CBS. 6 companies own 90% of the media. So if you want to know why media is whitewashed and you only get one kind of homogeneous media that's all talking about the same thing and doing it for ratings, it's not because of the subject matter, because Russia is important and the media should stay on it until its conclusion.
Oh, that was so close, Franco. So close to me agreeing with you 100% about the media conglomeration. So close. If you just finish your sentence a little bit differently. I have to push this point, though. I have to push the point about the testimony in Congress, especially in front of the Senate Intel Committee. I mean, we had Comey, we had Rogers, we had McCabe, we had Coates, we had Sessions, Feinstein, Manchin, Schiff. They all testified that there was no obstruction of justice they knew about, no collusion that they knew about, no vote tallies altered. I mean, Democrats have been talking about this proverbial smoking gun and where there's smoke, there's fire, but at what point do we say we have nothing?
Liz, there you go again. There's that phrase, that they know about, or in first-person testimony, that I'm aware of, or that I know about. These are watchwords for saying there's more to the story than I can say. And again, there's a reason why a lot of these committees, Senate Intelligence Committee hearings and other hearings, are going into private session, because there's a lot that's not ready for consumption by the American public, or because it's classified. But getting back to my previous point for a second about media, it's not just, by the way, the mainstream media, it's right-wing media too. And that's not just the opinion of a liberal Democrat. The National Review, a leading conservative publication, I think you would agree, said recently, quote, "Right-wing media makes conservatives intellectually deaf." There's just as much whitewashing going on.
There's echo chamber problems on both sides of the aisle. I won't argue with that. That's true. I mean, I try to read both sides of the aisle, articles and stuff in books from both perspectives, all philosophies. That's true. You need to listen to other people. But that doesn't get away from the fact that you're putting a lot more confidence in big brother government and government bureaucrats than I would, thinking that they're just making sure they don't betray classified information. They're not. They're making sure that they don't get caught in some other negative activity that they've done. But believe me, if there was something to that, the CNN producer is right. It would have been leaked a long time ago. They're just doing it for ratings. And he himself admitted that CNN as a whole didn't hack President Obama as hard because it would have turned off their liberal viewers. That tells you something right there. Franco